Hi, welcome to my bathroom sink. I wanted to show you something really quick. This is a beauty blender and I purchased it because I needed a new one and it was on clearance. It was one of their color changing beauty blenders, and if you can see, it's green now, and if you put it under hot water it turns a different color. So let me show you. This water is hot. Do you see that? It turns blue. How cool is that? And like the higher it is, the more blue it gets. And then if I run it under cold water, it'll turn back to green. It's actually starting to turn green in some of the parts where it's cooling down. Can you see where part of it's blue and part of it's green? I just think it's fun. It's so cool. After hot water. Like, what is that? Science. What's the science behind that?
I've made a few trips to Ulta recently. These were some free gifts that I got. This is the Pure Skin Face Cleanser from First Aid Beauty. This was one of the choices for the birthday gift. None of the other options were really enticing for me personally. And I recently finished the mini face wash that I usually keep in my travel bag. And so I was in the market for a new one anyway. So I figured this one was free. I might as well get it. So not the most exciting, but definitely a practical gift that I will use. And then this was, I don't remember if it's platinum or diamond, but I reached a new level on my Ulta rewards. And when you reach that level, you get a free gift of your choice. And I chose to get this lip gloss from Fenty Beauty. You could only get it in the shade Fenty Glow. It would have been nice to be able to choose the shade that I wanted because I think this one has shimmers in it. I've never heard anyone say that the shimmers made this a bad formula. In fact, I've only ever heard really great things about this. And I do love a good gloss. I like trying new gloss formulas. So that was fun. So those were some free things that I was able to get. The rest of them I think I purchased myself. So in one Ulta order, I think I ordered like an oil cleanser or something, like a skincare product. And in that order, I threw these two things in. I wanted more light matte shadows that I could use to set my eyeshadow primer. This is the Ulta Beauty single eyeshadow in the shade Good Vibes, and it's light but has a little bit of a pinky undertone, and I have been using this a lot. I really like it. I'm trying to finish a mauve purple matte shadow right now, so this goes really great with it, and I have been creating a lot of really beautiful pink purple looks. So this has just been already so useful, and I've worn it so many times already. I realized after wearing this so much that it would be nice to have other undertones. It would be nice to have a cream color. It would be nice to have maybe a white, just so I can use the shadow with the undertone that'll match the eye look I'm going for. Because if I'm going for like a really warm or bronzy look, maybe I'm not trying to reach for a pink eyeshadow to start. So this has been great. I really love it, and I think I got it on sale. And I like that they come in individual cases like this, but you can remove it, and it's a magnetic pan. So I can put it, oh, and it's labeled on the bottom too. That's great. You can put it in a palette if you want, which is what I likely will do. And then I saw, I think Jem Phelps talk about this NYX bronzer, and I was so intrigued. I knew I wanted to get it immediately. I got the shade Buttercup, which I think is the lightest shade. And this is very powdery, like you need to use a really soft brush with it and don't apply with a heavy hand. It's very pigmented, even though this is the lightest shade. I think I've only worn it on my face once or twice, and I did like it, but it's definitely not for someone who has a heavy hand with bronzer. You do need to be careful. And it looked a lot rosier in the photos. This is quite warm to me. And it does have a little bit of a sheen. Yeah, I don't really see a lot of rosiness in it, at least not on my skin tone, but it does match me really well, and I do like that it has a little bit of a sheen to it, and the packaging is really nice. It feels really sturdy. And then my mom came to stay with us for a few days to visit, and she and I went to Ulta together just to browse. On that day, there was a half-off sale on these Too Faced blushes, and I am really, really glad I went in store to swatch the shades and look at them in person before placing an order, because the two shades that I wanted really bad, when I swatched them in store, I realized they were not the right color for me. And I ended up going with a shade that I didn't even consider because the swatches didn't make it look enticing. I'm a sucker for beautifully packaged blushes. I know that about myself, and this is just beautiful. And each shade has a slightly different color on the outside. And so if you had multiple shades from this line, you'd be able to tell them apart without having to open them. It's got a little heart clip, or whatever you call that, fastener. And it feels really, really nice. And I got the shade Head in the Clouds. And this is just a very me shade. A little bit more maybe of a nude or neutral color, but it has enough of a depth to it to look really beautiful. Blush swatches aren't always the most reliable on your hand, but that's what it looks like. It's just a really beautiful everyday shade. I could see myself wearing this a lot. And I'm just so glad I went in store and looked at it first before buying it online, because these were like half off. I think it was $14.50 and they're normally $29 or something. And I just really love it. I love the box packaging too. Gorgeous. I'm glad I have it. I mean, did I need another nude blush? Who's to say? And then I am running low on mascaras. I'm finishing one up right now and I only have one left in my collection, and it's from a brand, it's from the Ulta Beauty brand. I've never tried that mascara before, so I don't know if I like it. I planned on picking up another mascara, and I figured since I don't know if I'm gonna like the other mascara that I'm buying that I already have, then maybe I should buy something that's more reliable. So I got the Essence Lash Princess. I haven't had this in a long time, but I remember really loving it. I've gone through multiples of these in the past. And then, like I said, I wanted some other matte light shades with different undertones. So then I picked up the matte white, which is in the shade Pure as Snow. And then the one that's more yellow is in the shade Coconut. And I have this empty quad here. This was an ABH quad that I bought forever ago. I have one shade from Makeup Geek in the shade Phantom that I'm trying to reach for more and potentially finish it by the end of the year. So I'm gonna put the other 3 Ulta singles in here since I already have this palette out anyway. That way when I'm doing my eyeshadow every day, I can have this palette out to reach for these more, but then also I can choose which undertone of eyeshadow I want to use to set my eyeshadow primer, and that'll help me determine the eye look that I create that day. And then these are things I will absolutely be keeping. Sometimes I just want to have one eyeshadow out in my like everyday makeup drawer in my desk, and then sometimes I have a single that I think someone else would really like, and so I want to be able to give them something that is a lot easier to store and keep. So these are definitely going to come in handy. I really like that Ulta does this. I wish more brands did that. And it's a pretty standard size. So for reference, this is a Cleona single that I just popped in. It fits perfectly. Same with this Sydney Grace single. This ABH single, it didn't pop in as easily as the other 2 did, but all I had to do was just push it a little and it ended up going in fine. And it does close and it's pretty secure. So it fits, but it's a little more snug than the other 2. If you are considering these singles from Ulta, I can't speak for the shimmer shades. And because of the way that I use these mattes, I don't need them to be too opaque. They do pull a little bit more sheer. For example, this white shade Pure as Snow, it's not like the most pigmented white you're ever gonna work with. But it definitely is brightening, it definitely does the job. And I imagine if I were to put it over a wet base or a white base or just a lighter base in general, it would brighten it up even more. But for the purpose I want them for, they're gonna work just fine. And I'm glad to have them. And if you are going to get any of the Ulta singles, I do recommend waiting for them to have a sale. Usually they have like buy 2 get 2 free or something like that, a percentage off. Before I sanitize this and put it away, I wanted to show you the makeup kit. I put that in quotes because it's not really a makeup kit that I brought over to my friend's house. She's getting married in a few weeks, and she asked if I could come over and help give some recommendations on getting a foundation that matches her and maybe picking out a lip color. She doesn't own a lot of makeup, she doesn't wear a lot of makeup, but she wanted to do her own makeup for her wedding. And so the maid of honor, who's also a really good friend of mine, and I met up and we started at my friend's house. And what I decided to do to kind of help her get an idea of what she would want and what she likes, I brought a bunch of my own makeup and I made sure it was all sanitized. If it needed to be sanitized, I did. Just let her try on a bunch of different things, and that way she could get an idea for what color she likes. Because even though we have sort of similar skin tones and similar undertones, she is a little bit more tan than I am. Even though we're only a few shades apart, things would look super different on us, which is surprising. It like surprised me really. So what I did is I took a bunch of eyeshadows that I could pull out of my other palettes, and I made a Z palette of a bunch of different colors and shades, and we just swatched them on her just to see how they turned out. And that way it would give her an idea of, does she want more of a warm brown golden look? Does she want something with more purples and mauves? Does she want something more natural? Like, just to kind of swatch and see what she liked. She ended up really liking a lot of these brown and gold shades down here, so she ended up purchasing the Goin' Coconuts palette from ColourPop for her day. I also brought this face palette from Smashbox so we could get a feel for if she would prefer more of a peachy or more of a pink blush. And I brought a bunch of other blushes too. They're just kind of hidden in the bottom. I also brought this because it has a really good array of different undertones for mattes and shimmers, and that way we could just kind of better figure out what worked. I brought a ton of different lip liners and lip products, and that way she was able to try on a bunch of different undertones, different levels of depth, different types of formulas too. Would she prefer a matte or a creamy or a satin? A bunch of different bronzers and powders and stuff like that. And then for her, her main thing was she wanted to find a foundation that matched her, because I think that's always been the trouble that she had. And I think one of the reasons why she was so hesitant to hire a makeup artist, because I think she's had her makeup done professionally for other events and they haven't really matched her very well, because she has a very, very olive undertone. It's like very easy to see. And even though I do tend to prefer foundations that also have a little bit of an olive undertone to them, it's not as apparent in my skin tone because I'm incredibly pale. And so I don't think a lot of people would look at me and be like, oh yeah, she's super olive, because I'm not. But I do have quite a few olive foundations as a result, so I was able to bring a lot of what I had. And some of the foundations I have are a little bit too deep for me, but they're the right undertone, so I prefer to have them and then I lighten them to match me better. And a good example of that is this Kojen Dough foundation. This is in the shade 213. This has an olive undertone, but it's a tad bit too dark for me on its own for most of the year. It works really well when I have a tan, which isn't very often, but this ended up being a perfect match for her. She ended up really liking the match on this, and she really liked the formula as well because her skin is a little bit more dry, and this is definitely more of a, not a natural finish, but it's definitely got just a little bit more something to it. I think it does work really well for people with drier skin. She wanted to buy her own foundation just to have even outside of her wedding day, and so she asked for recommendations for foundations like this, and I told her About Face would have some really great options for her, so we went to the store. She ended up buying 2 of the olive shades. I think she bought the lightest one, F2 Olive, and then whatever the deeper version of that is. And that way she can mix them together. If she gets a little bit more sun before her wedding day, she can wear more of the deeper shade. And because they have About Face at Ulta, which we ended up going to Ulta afterwards, she was able to test out those shades on herself in store and see that they were a really good match. And I just think that's going to work really well for her. Again, I don't think that these are exact dupes, but I think it was just a really good choice for her. And I did tell her, you know, when you're doing your own wedding makeup, especially if you aren't used to wearing a lot of makeup, you definitely want to put on more than you think you need because of how it's going to turn up in the professional photography, and because it is like a long day and you're going to be a little bit more glammed up than you would be every day. And I just explained to her, like, yes, I did my own makeup for my wedding, but I did a lot to prepare for it. I already had a full collection of makeup. I had experience doing other people's makeup already. I'm not a professional makeup artist by any means, but I have done other people's makeup for like their weddings and stuff. And I have taken classes to make sure that I do it right. Like, it's something I took very seriously. I just wanted a chance for her to actually try doing it herself. So what we did is we took all the makeup that I had, and I would do half of her face, and I would have her match whatever I was doing on her side of her face. So I would apply foundation on her skin, and then I'd ask her to do it on the other side in the same way. And that way she actually got to practice. And then after that, we all went to Ulta and picked up some things that she wanted. I was able to give her a few things so that she didn't have to buy like an entirely new face of makeup. For example, like this all-nighter spray, I put a little bit of this into another spray bottle and just gave that to her to use instead of her having to buy like a whole like $34 bottle of setting spray. I think I gave her a primer. I also gave her my eyeshadow primer. Ooh, and I gave her the Lisa Eldridge Cinnabar lipstick. It looked gorgeous on her. Oh my goodness. And the three of us walked around Ulta and we swatched every lipstick that we could find that we thought would be a dupe for it, and we couldn't find one. We must have swatched like 30 lipsticks at least, and we could not find a shade that was even close to Cinnabar. So Lisa Eldridge really knows what she's doing. Like, she has a very incredibly unique color story for all of her lipsticks, and that is just like one of the great things about the brand, I think. But yeah, it was just funny. So I just gave her mine to use. Anyway, we had so much fun. I think we ended up spending like over 5 hours together just playing with makeup and hanging out and then going shopping, and it was just a really nice time. I'm helping to plan a friend's baby shower on the same day as her wedding, so I won't be like able to actually help her the day of her wedding, but I do feel like I gave her the tools that she needs, and I also gave her some brushes too. So I feel like I literally gave her the tools that she needs to be able to do it, and I really hoped that she's practicing and that so for the big day she feels calm and she feels confident in what she's doing. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and sanitize all of this stuff again, and then I'll put it back into my makeup collection. I figured I'd show my face for once. I think everything up until this point in the vlog has just been overhead stuff. And I did have a few things I've picked up over the month of April that I wanted to show you. This vlog is going over several months. I just haven't been able to get around to filming as much as I want to. And so I have a couple things broken up into different hauls, and they're all from either Ulta or Sephora. So I don't know what happened in April. I don't know if I had like a 20% off coupon or something, but there must have been a really good deal. And then I must have just been in a certain type of mood because I purchased not one, not two, but 3 new lipsticks. And I don't make a habit of buying a ton of lipsticks because they take a long time to go through, but Charlotte Tilbury expanded their shade range of their Satin Kissing formula, which is my favorite lipstick formula of all time, and so I knew I wanted to pick up a couple of shades. They just added another shade to their Pillow Talk line, so they now have a Pillow Talk Fair shade. I've been waiting for Charlotte Tilbury to expand their shade range that they have in their Satin formula, their Kissing formula, and just come out with a few more lighter shades for me personally. And I'm just so glad to see that they have. So they came out with this, and then I will swatch them all together at the end. And then they also came out with a few different, like, if you can see, the packaging for the Charlotte Tilbury original one is a little bit more gold, and then this one is a little bit more pink. I think the line of these pink tubes is called Charlotte's Hollywood Beauty Icon lipstick, and it looks like there are 5 shades of the Satin formula and then 5 shades of the Matte Revolution formula. And I had my eye on 3 of the satin shades: Icon Baby, Candy Chic, and 90s Pink. So I started with Candy Chic. I have, since purchasing these, gone into Ulta and swatched the other 2, and I still do want them, but I'll wait. And then I bought another nude lipstick. This is from Natasha Denona, and this is from their My Dream collection. What originally made me gravitate towards this shade is because the name of the shade is Natasha. It's named after me. Not really, but it's named after Natasha Denona, but she described it as her perfect nude. It's a really great nude shade for me, and it's got a little bit more of a brown to it versus a pink. And so I think this is going to be great for neutral looks, or if I'm already doing something really pink and warm on my eyes and I want a nude lip that doesn't also have pink in it. I just think this is going to be great. It also smells really nice. It has a vanilla scent, very similar to the one from Charlotte Tilbury. I will say I used it a few times, and then I was walking down a street and I was applying this, and the whole tube just like smushed off and fell onto my sweater. So that wasn't ideal. I did end up going in and exchanging it for a fresh tube. I'm just gonna make sure to be a lot more gentle with it. So please be careful. Maybe don't keep this in your pocket where your body heat warms it up and makes it extra creamy. Maybe just keep it in like your purse or your backpack or something instead. Another thing to keep in mind is that there are 2 shades of Natasha in the Natasha Denona lipstick line. There's one from the I Need a Nude line, which is a much more peachy color, and then the Natasha shade from the My Dream collection, which is much less peachy, a little bit more of a brown pink color, much better suited to my skin tone and my preference. And I just had to double check. I remember going into the store and double checking because I didn't want to pick up the wrong shade and then end up not liking it. Let me show you some swatches on the back of my hand. This top shade here is the Natasha Denona My Dream lipstick in the shade Natasha. This middle one is Charlotte Tilbury's Candy Chic, and then this one is Charlotte Tilbury's Pillow Talk Fair. And while I'm here, I might as well swatch a couple other shades just for reference. I have two other similar shades from Charlotte Tilbury, and they're both from, I think, the Look of Love collection. They have slightly different packaging from the regular tubes. This top shade here is Nude Romance. This is from their satin line. And then this one underneath is Wedding Bells, which is from their matte line. And then this one over here, I just wanted to swatch it just to see for myself. This is from LH Cosmetics. It's the Fantastic in the shade Pink Opal. This is, I think it's technically a lipstick, but it's a little bit more balmy and it's not as pigmented and opaque as the other shades, but the color is very similar. Realistically, they all look very similar and I'm aware of that. That's not everything for lip products. I have a few other ones to show you. One of them is something that I have been seeing all over TikTok, and I realized that they sell this brand on the Ulta website and that it's only $12. So I figured I would give it a try because I've been very intrigued. And it's one of those lip stains. It's from a brand called Swatches, but it's a lip liner stain. And it's one of those peel off products where you apply a really thick layer of it, you peel it off and it leaves a stain underneath. And I got the shade Mauve. It's spelled like mwah, like a kiss, but it's made to look like the word mauve. It's called Mauve. I haven't taken it out of the box yet. I will put some of it on the back of my hand just to show you. That's what it looks like on my hand. And coincidentally, I also received a few stains from Wonderskin in PR. And I have two shades here. I have Whimsical and Adore. And these are very similar. I think these came out first because I remember seeing these all over social media a while ago. And it's very similar where this is like a really bright blue color and then you remove that part and it leaves a stain underneath as well. So I'll also swatch those on the back of my hands. It's like very bright blue, like an electric blue. So that's Adore, which is a lighter shade. And then this darker one is Whimsical. And while I give those a chance to dry, I'll talk about the other products that I bought. I think there was the VIB sale happening. I think I also had a gift card or something, or I got extra money off. So I decided to buy two things that I've been wanting to get for a long time. The first one is the One Size On Till Dawn Mattifying Waterproof Setting Spray. I hear so many good things about it. I'm just intrigued. I think I also heard that Beyonce used this during her Renaissance tour. I just have been hearing great things about it and I was intrigued about it being like a spray, an actual almost hairspray for your face. I've only reached for it a couple of times. There are some things I really like about it and then other things that I don't really like that would keep me from buying this again once this is gone. The first thing and the biggest thing is the actual scent of this. Whenever you spray it on your face, it does smell like hairspray and it's very strong, and it's actually to the point where if I'm going to apply this, I need to go to a different part of my house, apply it, and then come back to where I'm applying my makeup because that scent will just stay. It just stays in the air. I feel like I'm breathing it in. I don't like that. I don't use a lot of aerosol sprays for that reason anyway, because I feel like it just hangs in the air and you're much more likely to breathe it in. I don't love that, but of course, like, what did I expect? It's an aerosol spray product. I guess I just thought it would be a little bit gentler fragrance-wise because you're spraying it on your face and not in your hair. Switching gears, let me talk about something I really like. I really like that your makeup kind of stays the same after you spray it on. And so if your face is matte, like you've used powders, this isn't gonna make you super glowy. You apply it, it dries really fast, and then it doesn't look like you did anything, which I like because sometimes setting sprays give me a lot of glow back, and I'm not always necessarily looking for that. It did help take down the powdery look, but it didn't give me a glow. For longevity, I don't find that this is outperforming any of my other mattifying setting sprays. So I'll have to keep testing it out to get a better idea of it. So we'll see. I don't have like a fully formed thought on this just yet. And then the other thing I got is one that I've just been waiting to get another one of, and that's the Hourglass Mood Exposure Blush. I had a mini of these that my sister-in-law gave me either as a birthday present or Christmas present, and I loved it so much I finished it, and I've kind of always wanted it back in my collection because I love it so much. It's like literally the perfect blush shade for me. It's exactly what color my cheeks turn when I'm blushing on my own, or when I have like a flush to my cheeks. And the formula is beautiful. I love how well it builds. When I put this on, I put it like everywhere. I put it on my cheeks. I'll kind of push it a little bit down to give more of a natural flush. I'll put it on my forehead. I'll put it on my chin. I'll put it on like my collarbones. I will put this everywhere. I just think it looks so pretty, and I wanted to get a full size of it, and I just waited until I could get it on sale. So I'm really glad to have this back. I've already worn it so much. Definitely one of my favorite blushes of all time. And if I had this in my collection when I did my If I Could Only Keep One video, there's a chance this would have usurped Makeup Revolution's Beloved. Okay, it looks like the Statue one is pretty dry. It says you should be able to peel it off. I don't know if that's gonna be as easy with it being on my hand, but I can try. Okay. Ooh, it's kind of pulling on the hairs on my hand. That's not great, but it is coming all off in one swoop. Like, that was really easy to peel off. That's awesome. And that's the color it gives underneath. I mean, that's a pretty intense stain. And when I rub it, it doesn't smear and nothing comes off on my fingers, so that's great. The other two, I don't think these peel off. I do think the brand sells a spray that you can spray on it and then peel it off, but every time I've used these, I just let them sit for like a minute, and then I go in the bathroom and I kind of rinse it off with water, and then I take a tissue and take any extra off, and it comes off perfectly fine. And I have really loved these. These are really nice. So I haven't actually used the Statue one on my lips yet, but I'm very excited. Let me go rinse these two off, and then I can show you what they all look like. This one is from Statue in the shade Mauve. This top one is from Wonder Skin in the shade Adore. And this bottom one is also from Wonder Skin in the shade Whimsical. The way I've been applying these Wonder Skin stains is in the morning. I usually rinse my face with warm water, like after I've brushed my teeth. I don't typically use face wash in the morning, but I'll pat dry my skin, and before I put any lip balm or any face cream on or anything, I'll apply like a really generous layer of one of these products. I'll let it sit for like a minute. I'll go rinse off the blue top coat. I'll do the rest of my skincare and makeup like normal, and then at the end, I might use a little bit of a lip liner to give me more of a straight line or just a symmetrical lip line, especially once I've had foundation on and stuff. It can kind of cover it up. So I'll use a lip liner to kind of redraw that line, and then I'll use one of my Violette FR Bisou Bombs. The one in Batiste is like a really beautiful strawberry red color, and on its own, it's very sheer. You can definitely build it up, but it's one of those like blurring matte bombs. And so what I'll do is I will apply that over the stain, which is what I'll do here. And it will give me a beautiful, really pigmented, almost like Snow White lips, or you know what I mean? Like, have you ever seen in shows and movies and stuff where the main character is wearing like a really beautiful, like very bitten color? I'm thinking of the girl from The Punisher. No, the girl from, well, she's also in Punisher, but she's in Daredevil. She usually has that color, and I just see that very often on people in shows, and it's like a very pigmented, stained, like just bitten, really juicy lip color. And I find that these two together just give me so much pigment, and I feel like it stays a long time, and I just love it, especially when I don't really have a lot going on with my eyes and my lips are kind of like the statement of my whole makeup look. And then of course with the stain, you can also just put a gloss on top, and it just helps with longevity. Like, I feel like it keeps that pigment, it helps your whole lip look super pigmented, and it just stays that way. Like, I can understand why stains are so big. So I'm falling for the hype. I want to try all the stains now. I want to try every stain from every brand. I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, if you've been seeing these all over TikTok and you don't want to purchase from TikTok, they sell this at Ulta if you feel more comfortable buying it from Ulta than TikTok. That was all the makeup that I bought in April. I feel like this entire vlog has just been mostly hauls. I don't plan on making that how all of my vlogs are moving forward, but it just seemed to be a lot of like little things. I would pick up 2 or 3 things here and there with all the sales happening. Honestly, I think I'm gonna end the vlog here. I have a lot of footage. I think it's gonna be a long one. Yeah, I just feel like every 2 or 3 months I'll just have a makeup related vlog where I just talk about little things that I can't naturally fit into other videos that I do. I hope that you've enjoyed watching them. I do have another one like this that came out a few months ago, so I'll have that linked in the cards and in the description box. But in the meantime, that's everything I have. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!